What's up, guys? I'm back. Now, I know I said I was gonna do this video in the weekend, but I thought about it and I said to myself, why am I waiting for the weekend? I already pretty much know what this game needs, and why wait? So here it is. I'm gonna do it now, and as I said earlier, I want us to stick together. I want us to have a cohesive message and let these developers know that, if you like these ideas, right, that you support them. If you don't like them, feel free to tell me you don't like them. You don't have to support it, obviously, but I'm hoping you like the ideas. There's nothing here that's going to blow you away like, oh my God, I never heard this before. This is totally revolutionary. That's not what this list is about. I think that we really need to be realistic. We need to keep things more or less simple because there's a higher probability that the developer will listen and say, okay, we can do this, right? And that's kind of what I want to do, because if we just hit them with a million different ideas or things that are like really out there, it's not going to happen. They're not going to listen. It'll get lost in translation. We have to be realistic, and we got to kind of meet these guys halfway. So I said, let's keep this list simple and direct. And I really believe that if these things are addressed, okay, I wrote them down so I don't miss anything. If these things are addressed, I do believe we finally have a game that'll finally knock off, the old Thunder series and Dirt to Daytona and stuff, because as much as, many of us love those games, they are almost 15 years old, some of them. And it's really sad, that we're still, all these many years later, that they're still holding the crown. We have much better technology, better consoles. We should be able to do a lot better. And it's time. I want these guys at 704 to aim higher. I think that's one of the things they need to do. They got to just knuckle down and aim higher, We aren't where we need to be, right? So aim for the top guys, Aim for even the modern day racing games today, You may not outdo them in many aspects, but at least put yourself in the conversation, in the ballpark. NASCAR games have a bad rep, and it's really started in 2011 with Technics, and the bar has been managed to have been lowered by such an extent that we look at small improvements as a big deal. Now, this NASCAR Heat 2 is a good step forward, and it really is a fun game at times, and it does certain things very well, right? But overall, let's be honest, at the end of the day, it's really, the biggest improvements are over last year. They're not setting the world on fire. They're not really treading new ground. So we got to raise the bar, man. We can do better. So as I asked before, let's stick together. I need you guys to support the ideas, and in your own words, write to these guys and tell them, listen, we support these ideas, we want to see this, and we will support your product. You do right by us, we'll do right by you. So that's the way business works, right? So, and one last thing, you guys that only manage to chime in with anti-criticism remarks, telling people to not stop complaining or whatever, fuck you, because you haven't had shit to do with this last game. Whatever improvements are there, part of the reason for that is that people like What If Racing, Real Radman, all these guys who talk about these games, make videos on them, and a lot of you other guys out there who write to these guys and forward, not just forward our stuff, but you constantly tell the developer what's lacking. As a community, we're partly the reason, not entirely, but we are a part of the reason that the games have improved, right? This game is better, and part of the reason is us. So I think we've proven that criticism works. And those of you who just keep defending everything and telling people to not complain, go fuck yourself. I don't give two shits. If you can't add anything to helping improve NASCAR games, don't even watch my videos, right? I can't tell you not to watch other people's videos. I don't have the right to do that. But don't bother watching my videos, and I couldn't care less what you think. So I think the rest of us, we should, acknowledge to ourselves that, yeah, you know what, we're holding these guys, responsible for the products that they put out, and we have to hold their feet to the fire, right? So let's do our thing. Don't worry about trolls, and that's it. So that being said, I'm gonna get right down to it. The first thing I'm gonna bring up is the most obvious thing, something that I know everyone will be like, duh, but obviously fix the issues that haven't been fixed, improve the main gameplay mechanics, which means physics, handling, AI, and stuff like that. Now, as good and as improved as they are, these are things that, no matter what, are always a work in progress, no matter how good they are. So every race game is the same. This has really nothing to do with NASCAR game development, just racing games in general. Whenever a developer pumps out the next title, they always work on these things. You never just sit back and just be like, hey, it was good enough, leave it alone. It's always a work in progress, because it's never, your goal is to make it better and better. So these are the obvious things. Fix these issues. The caution system has to be fixed. The AI checking up on restarts or stopping in the track, middle of the track. All the issues we talked about before. These things have to be fixed. That's going to require more testing. When you test these games, test them 50% minimum to 100% race length. You can't test these games properly in short sprints. And these games, that's how they feel. They feel like they're built just for these short sprints. And that's not what NASCAR is about. And you guys got to take a new direction on this and just focus on trying to push people to experience NASCAR as a sport and everything that it entails, right? I'll talk a little more about that as we go along. But, it's going to require a lot of testing. Now, the feeling I get, and I could be wrong, is that maybe there's not enough people working on the game, and I might be a little out of line. I don't know what's going on, behind closed doors, how they develop these games, how many people are actually working on it. I don't know this stuff, right? This is purely speculation. But it would seem to me, judged on all the games we've seen, that these developers, they need to hire some more people. How many, I don't know. But it's obvious that whatever number of people they have, and I'm talking about not everyone, I'm talking about the guys who actually sit there in front of a computer and render the games out, program, do the coding, that make everything work. The actual builders, the tech guys. I don't know if there's enough of those guys. These are the guys, maybe they're overwhelmed. I'm not saying they're not capable, because I said with this last game, they've shown capabilities. That they are capable. I just feel like they're overwhelmed, right? So they're able to give you a certain amount of stuff, but they're never able to give you a fully fleshed out game with all the bells and whistles. And we can't keep accepting baby steps, okay? Year after year. You can't keep asking your consumer base to go out and spend their hard-earned money, and you're just making baby steps. We can't do that anymore. This next game is make or break, as far as I'm concerned, and I think a lot of people feel the same way. They're tired of spending their hard-earned money and still having so many things lacking and the same issues popping up. So my suggestion is straight up hire more people because it would allow you to do more. Maybe you can have people spend more time testing and fixing issues instead of releasing games in this condition. So I could be wrong. I don't know what goes on behind closed doors, but that would be a suggestion. And to that I'm going to say one more thing. I realize that you have a limited budget and it's easy to say go out, spend more money and hire more people. So I don't say that lightly, but I'm just telling you that in the world of business, sometimes you have to go over budget. And it's not uncommon. It's not something that's like, oh my God, that's a shock. Most businesses always go over budget at one time or another to produce a product. Because no matter how much careful planning you do, there's always unforeseen expenses that pop up. And the more people you have working on the game, the more of a better chance you have of achieving your goals. So I'm just trying to say that if you have to go over budget, that's the cost of doing business. And if you expect people to continue to support your products, you have to make that sacrifice. That's your problem. You got to find a way. And maybe you only need 2 or 3 extra guys and to get things to happen. I don't know the answer to that. And like I said, I could be wrong. I may be speaking out of turn. It's just a feeling I get. What else could it be? That year after year you still have the same issues and still basic features missing out of these games? It's obvious to me you don't have enough people to make this stuff happen in the allotted time. Hence, you got to hire more people. That's all I'm going to say about it. So, fix the main issues, improve the gameplay mechanics, and all the problems in the game, get it fixed, and improve the things that are working, make it better. That's the obvious stuff. That's out of the way. Number 2. Yes. Once again, I'm going to say the word statistics. You got to make it happen. No more. Never again. And when I say stats, I don't mean a half-assed, a couple of stats thrown in here and there. I don't want to see a lanyard card. I don't want to see just wins and races. And you got to give us a full statistical compilation. A proper statistical compilation of everything that you do in the game, just like we used to see in the old Thunder series. Okay? And if you guys don't understand what that is, my friend, What If Racing, he's going to show you. Because he's more talented than I am, and he knows how to do a properly edited video that illustrates the type of things I want to talk about. And he's assured me he's going to help out, and I trust him. He's had my back before, and I thank him for that. And any of you other YouTubers out there, we need all the help we can get. But we do have to stick together as a community, and we'll be much more effective that way. So the statistics, you got to do it right. The same way we used to get it with the old Thunder series. You should be able to click on a tab and get everything there. Current season, year by year, career totals. And I want the career to be capped at 25 years. I don't want unlimited career because it's ridiculous if you can race God knows how many years and get 800 wins. It waters everything down and it detracts from the value of everything in the game. So you want a cap, and that 25 years is a long time. You start at the age of 20 and you retire at 45, and so I think that's perfect, and I really believe if it's done like that, it just incentivizes you more, and it's a little more immersive. You can't just have an unlimited career. I really believe that. So statistics, and that also counts for online. I'll get into that a little later, but gotta do it. I don't ever want to see another NASCAR game without a proper full compilation of stats. I don't. And I don't care what people say about how they're sick and tired of hearing me complain about it. I've been complaining about this since 2011 or 12. And those of you who have been following me since then, you know that's true. Some of you know me from the old Utechnics forums. I used to be known as 73 Duster. Some of you are still following me. You know that's true. I used to argue and I used to bring these points up every year. After the next Utechnics game was a disaster, I would bring up the same stuff about no stats, no presentation, all this stuff. And for those of you who think that, it's a waste of, it's like stupid to keep bringing it up, well, the fact that I've been bringing this up year after year after year and it hasn't been addressed only proves my point. I have to keep bringing it up. Even if it's annoying. I realize it could be annoying hearing the same complaints, but the reason you hear the same complaints over and over is because it's not being addressed, and I won't stop. Can't stop, won't stop until it's resolved. All right, and it is starting to have an effect. That the developers have responded to this, somewhat, so they know it's an issue, and we can't. I'm like a dog with a bone. I will not let this issue go. And I promise you that it's a night and day difference when you have stats in a career mode. You can't feel like you're building a career without it. I've talked a lot about it before. I don't need to get into further detail. So I don't want to ever see another NASCAR game without stats. And if I do, it's game over. As far as I'm concerned, I'm done. The next thing is just as important, and it's been just as ignored. Presentation. Okay? Utechnics, again, they started something and it had such a disastrous effect on NASCAR game development as a whole, because they made it possible to make games without stats and without presentation. They made that a common thing to the point where once 704 took over, they didn't even think about stats or presentation with the first game, right? It wasn't even a thought. It was like, what, it's a sports game. Shouldn't this stuff be in it? Doesn't it, all games have some form of presentation? Shouldn't we address that? Nah, Utechnics got away with it for 5 years. And every year that they did, plenty of people stood up for them and reminded everyone that they're a small developer and it's not a big deal. So don't worry about it. And that's why we got NASCAR Heat Evolution. How'd that turn out? I don't think I have all the answers, but I stand firmly behind my opinions because these developers prove me right. So presentation has to be addressed. Here's what I want to see. Pre-race, commentary, track intro. I want to see the entire field of cars. In the warm-up lap, I want you to start from the rear to the front. Correct me if I'm wrong. My memory is starting to get a little fuzzy in my old age. But I do seem to remember a car of one of these games or more. Back in the old days, they used to start from the rear and go down to the pole sitter. During the warm-up lap, they would just start from the back and talk about each driver and where they started. And here's what I want you to do. Do that, and when they get to your car, wherever it is, I want them to refer to you directly. They can't do it by name, obviously, but they can do it by car number, or like NBA 2K does, you pick a nickname when you're creating your character, and throughout the game, whenever they refer to you, whenever there's commentary, whenever there's anything in the presentation throughout the game, they refer to you by the nickname you chose. So they're talking about you. That's very immersive. It's cool. It adds something to the game. I want to see that here. So when they get to me, right? Let's say my name is Smoke or whatever, when they get to my car, they mention that. Or by car number. If my car is the number 28, say, okay, and the 28 starting on the inside of row 11, and then move on from there. And then talk about how, a little bit about you. Maybe say stuff like, well, last week he finished 12th at Martinsville, and now he's sitting 8th in the point standings. So he needs a good finish today, or, some commentary. And have that part of the presentation as you're doing the warm-up lap, and you go down through the entire field. And then you can hear your spotter tell you, all right, we're coming to the green, and go, 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 go. The same way you see on TV, give it a bit of that television presentation, right? Then, at the end of the race, I want post-race commentary. I want them to talk about you again. Where'd you finish? Right? If you finished 12th or whatever, they could talk about you. Maybe interview you on the sideline, on the pits. If you had rivalries and you had a run-in with somebody and he's mad at you, whatever, how about a quick interview with him? And he can curse you out, not curse you out, but say, hey, man, this number 28, better watch it. He's just running, steamrolling over everybody, and he better stay away from me. Stuff like that, man. I mean, the rival system right now, I love it. And could you imagine how much better it would be with presentation? So I want to see this post-race stuff. Maybe have a shoving match where the crew comes and separates you while you're in the middle of an interview, right? And if you win the race, allow you to do a burnout, right? As long as you want. And nothing happens until you go back to the pits, right? You actually have to drive back to the pits, and once you cross the commitment line to the pits, then the game takes over. Presentation, you see a victory lane celebration, have an interview, okay? Maybe answer a couple questions, and depending how you answer these questions, it affects your fan rating. You get fans, or you get people who don't like you. Add that into the game. So pre-race, post-race is vital, okay? You got to do it. Get deep with it. Don't just give us a quick shot of the track and a quick generic post-race like we just got now. That was better than nothing. It's a step forward, but it's going to be 2018 when the next game comes out, hopefully. Time to step up, man. And let your developers play a little NBA 2K and some of these other sports games so they can get a sense of what presentation properly done is. So they can see how the stats are laid out. So they can get ideas from these guys about the career mode and how it's fleshed out. Make these guys play some of these games a little bit so they can be inspired and say, man, that was cool. Have some commercial endorsements. Right? When you sign contracts, get the sponsors more involved. NASCAR is a sponsor-driven sport. Get them more involved. That could be such a huge part of presentation. Show us what's happening back at the shop. Okay? There's a lot to show outside of race day. And that's another thing. This game needs to be more than just about the races. There's a lot that happens throughout race week. Practice, qualifying, working on the setups, okay, which I will talk about more later down the line because that deserves its own idea. So, okay, statistics, presentation. The next thing, it's a simple one. It's something a lot of people have been asking for, and I'm throwing it in there. It's not something that I find that I've like, oh my God, we got to have this. But since everyone else wants it, it's only fair. Give us a track map. We used to have that stuff. Put it in there. Okay, so you can have it as an option where you could toggle it on and off. Everything can be an option in this game, and even the presentation that I talked about. If you hit the button, the X or whatever, you can skip the presentation, right? So you're not going to be force-fed presentation and cutscenes that you don't want to sit through. You can skip it, make it skippable, right? So track map, okay? Give us that track map. It's simple. Make it happen. The next thing is online leagues, right? Online multiplayer. I want to see online leagues, right? Give us a way to, you have a page where you can set up your own league. So like me, Disco Inferno 70, I can set up a league. I can, call it whatever I want, and then have it where you can set it up by date and time, right? So if, let's say, I want to run a league every Saturday night, I can have it run, on Saturdays, 7 p.m. and then everyone that logs into your league, they are automatically signed in, so they're part of the league. They know what time the races are, and it's by a schedule, right? So you can do it properly. You can run multiple races. You can run multiple days. You'll have all those options. But I'm keeping it simple just to explain to you what I want. So you can set it up, and then as long as you show up at that time and date, you go right to the league page and you're in. If you don't make it on time, you get a DNF, and you make the next race. If you don't make it, you don't make it. Fully supported by statistics. Once again, full stats, not just wins and starts and stuff like that. Also, and this is very important, no stats for people who run anything less than 25% races. I don't want to see ridiculous numbers of stats for people that are just doing short sprints. Okay? You're free to run all the small, short races you want. You could do your crash derby. You could do your whatever you want. But you're not going to get stats for it. You got to incentivize people to play these games and run longer races and experience NASCAR as a sport as what it is. It's not a crash derby of 2-3% for 10 quick laps and a free-for-all. And then you get fucking credit for wins for that? No. Not on my watch. I don't want to see that. And so that's what I want. So we got to incentivize people to race longer races. Also, if you back out of a race, you get an automatic DNF. Okay? If you find a way around it or you want to shut your console off, whatever, that's on you. But at least this stuff helps try to incentivize longer races, maybe some cleaner races. Of course, the host has an option to always kick people out of the league. Improve on the AI, right? So the AI that's in online, it does seem to be a little, it seems to run a little more erratic than the offline. They seem to run all over the place. I seen them do some crazy stuff. So there is an issue with the online AI that the offline AI doesn't seem to have. So you got to work on that and improve it. That's obvious. But I love the idea of AI in online. Do not get rid of stuff that you already put in the game. So that's what I think the online multiplayer needs. And being able to run your own leagues, fully supported by stats, I think that would be huge. A huge way to improve online multiplayer, and that's what I'd like to see. Now, here is something else that is really important. There's a part of NASCAR games, even the best NASCAR games, ignored for a long, long time. I mean, they've always ignored it. It's practice and the things that happen before race day. And there's an idea that I have always had, and those of you, again, who have remember me even from the Eutechnics days in the forums, I've always talked about an automatic crew chief and how to make practice interesting for a change, for once, where you don't have to be an engineer and figure out a race car setup. Most of us don't know enough to come up with our own race car setups. And most of us, we get our setups from people online who do know. That's not immersive. It doesn't incentivize you to spend time in practice. It also disconnects you from the experience of NASCAR. Part of the experience is working on these cars and improving them. That's what practice is for, so that when you show up on race day, you have the best possible car set up properly for you. And there's a disconnect there because we really don't understand race car setups for the most part. So how do we make this a more fun and immersive experience? Don't just leave people to their own on their own. Up to now it feels like a chore, and at the end of the day, it's a video game. It should feel fun and immersive. So practice is something that's been completely ignored. They just throw it in there, and then you can work on your setup. Nobody wants to spend hours in practice just trying different things, not really knowing what they're doing. Everything's hit and miss. You don't really learn anything. It feels like a chore. Let's take that away. Let's implement an automatic crew chief where the crew chief helps you with your setup, actually comes up with setups for you depending on your complaints. You can go out, run laps, and then you come in and answer questions. And I've been talking about this since about 2012, I would say, and I've never heard anyone talk about this. So I feel proud that it's something, and I'm not telling you I'm the only one who ever thought of it. I'm just telling you that I've never seen it. And that Project Cars 2, for the first time, actually implemented what they call the engineer. Right? I always called it the automatic crew chief. They call it an engineer, and it does exactly what I'm talking about. So when you want to improve your car, the engineer asks you go to specific aspects, whether it's suspension, brakes, aerodynamics, all this stuff. And each category, you can answer questions. So if you say, well, the car's really tight, does not want to turn on entry into the corner, he will suggest certain things and make the adjustment for you. You go out on the track and you see how you like it. If it's not enough, you just go again and keep doing it. It's great. I just started playing Project Cars 2, so I'm not ready to do a review yet, but the first thing I did was play around with the engineer, and it works. Now, does it go as deep as I would like to see it? No. But it's a great first attempt, and it works. It really does help improve the handling and the physics of the car. And it's immersive. It actually makes you want to spend time practicing because you really feel like you had a part in improving the car. Not just being blind through the whole process. And it also makes the crew chief a vital part of your career, or of the whole system. And he helps you, and you can actually learn from it. This game desperately needs this type of feature, and now you would want to spend time in practice, and like I said, you feel a sense of accomplishment in improving your car. And you will want to spend time in practice, and it makes you feel more immersed in NASCAR as a sport. Also, it's more realistic. Most of these race car drivers, they don't know how to come up with a setup. They rely solely on the engineer and the crew chief. So this would be an awesome addition. It would help flesh the game out. You could add some more presentation there. Pulling up into the garage. You know how you see these guys in practice and the driver's sitting in his car with the laptop, with a tablet in his hand? You can actually have it where the tablet has the layout of the track map, and you can go to certain sections of the track and say, okay, you click on turn 1, and then you click on that, and then you answer the questions there. And you say, okay, it's tight on entry, loose on exit out of turn 2. Tight in the center. And each section of whatever track it is, you can answer questions. And the crew chief will come up with a setup for you. And think how immersive that would be. I would spend a lot of time in practice. Then you go out and you run lap times, and you hear that spotter or your crew chief like, hey man, you just improved 0.3. How do you like it? Bring it back in. And you go in and you keep working on it till you're satisfied with it. Right? and then you go to qualifying and stuff, and I would love to see that. And for one, Project Cars 2 is proving that it works. I feel validated that that's something I've been talking about for years. I never heard anyone talk about it, and look, it's in this game. So that is really important. I don't care what you have to do, make it happen, and it would add immersion to the game and make another part of the game that's been ignored. Even the best NASCAR games never really addressed this, and they always left you to your own devices. That would be awesome. I want to see that. And have your crew chiefs be a vital part of your career mode, and through presentation. And, and an agent, who contacts you about contracts and stuff like that. Also, have the ability to start your own race team and hire people and stuff. That would be immersive. And you got a way to spend your money. And, seek sponsorship, right? That's a big part of the sport, trying to find sponsors and keep sponsors, and have to, achieve certain things in the game in order to make the sponsors happy. So there's a lot you can do, and this stuff really needs to be addressed. I want to see that automatic crew chief. And it also helps with not just, people like myself, but the casual fans that you're always trying to appeal to. They would love this. And it gives you that sense of accomplishment, that you really feel like I had a part in coming up with a race setup, even though you didn't really do it, but you had a hand in it. The next thing is sound. I'm going to put it in the description box, a video of someone who did a NASCAR Heat 2 versus real life, it's called. And you can hear the real life engine sound, and then split screen with NASCAR Heat 2. So you hear the real engine sounds from an actual race, and you can see the footage of NASCAR Heat 2, and you got to get the sounds to sound like that. Okay? I can't believe that we still haven't been able to do it, but make it happen. The sound is still lacking. And sound is incredibly important in a game, especially a NASCAR game. So make that happen, and check out that video, because it's really cool when you hear how that's the way the cars should really sound, because it's the actual sound. Improve the spotter. Now the spotter was improved with this year, but he's not busy enough. I like a chatty spotter. There are so many times in this game where he's not talking, and I don't know if someone's next to me. Give us the ability to also look left and right just a little bit. I know the view shouldn't give you a clear view, but still, you should be able to look around, field of view, stuff like that. Give us more options. Improve the frame rate. It could be a little choppy, so improve that stuff. But the spotter needs to be chattier. And then give us the opportunity or the option to tone it down or make them more talky if we want it. I play only in cockpit mode, so the spotter is incredibly important to me. So you got to keep working on that. And he's got to constantly give me information. I want to hear him talk to me. Who's next to me? Am I clear? How's my lap times? Do I need to pit soon? Okay. The AI pit strategy. I almost forgot. You've got to work. That goes under the first thing I talked about in all the improvements you got to make. You have to improve the AI pit strategy. Okay. They need to pit when they're supposed to pit. No more staying out under a caution unless they only have like 5 laps or something. Anything beyond that, I want these guys to pit. The tire model needs to be improved, and it should affect the AI pit strategy as well. The AI pit strategy is horrendous. You got to fix that. So I forgot to mention it with the first thing that I was talking about, which was all the improvements and fixing the stuff that needs to be fixed. But it just occurred to me, and that's why I'm bringing it up now. So that's vital. Got to fix that. The next thing, the paint booth. We need a fully fleshed out paint booth. The one thing that Technics did that I really liked, the only thing worth a damn was the paint booth. And give us at least what they gave us. Okay? And I want to also be able to customize the fire suits. So when you pit, not just for you, but your entire crew. So when you pit, they're all wearing the fire suits you designed. And then when you make your own custom paint scheme, you can make fire suits that match. I think that adds another layer of customization, which is always good, right? And since we're going to have a lot more presentation in the game, you'll be able to see these custom fire suits that you worked on. Face scanning. This is not something I expect you to do, but it'd be nice. NBA 2K has it, and also NBA Live with EA. Those of you who have experienced it and use it, it's awesome. It really works well, and there's nothing cooler than watching myself in the game as my main character, playing the game, and it does really look like you. It works well, and it's been out for a couple of years now. Get with the program, man. We gotta catch up to everyone else, what everyone else is doing. And giving us the ability to scan our face into the game, that's so much better than these generic character models that, to me, honestly, they're not even current gen looking. And, so if you can make that happen, that would be awesome. And last but not least, VR support. It's time to step up your game once again. Every major race game, not everyone, but all the major race titles, for the most part, they have VR support. And they've had it even last year, And now you got Gran Turismo Sport, Project Cars 2, Project Cars 1 had it, Assetto Corsa, iRacing, all these guys that take themselves seriously as race title developers, they all support VR. And anyone who's ever used VR, they'll tell you it is one of the most immersive things that you can do with racing. It's custom made for racing. It really feels like the real thing. So you gotta step up, man. You gotta get with the program, bring these games up to the modern age, and almost everything I talked about, there's nothing here that's never been done. Even the Auto Crew Chief, which is, for the first time now being done as an engineer by Project Cars 2. There's nothing I mentioned that's new or innovative. It's all been done. So the question should be, what do you need to do to make it happen? It's up to you, man. But if you got to spend more money and hire extra people, that's the cost of doing business. So anything that you guys want to add as far as ideas, I'm only asking this, right? Put it in the comment section, but just keep in mind, let's keep these the list as condensed and as simple as possible. The more ideas you throw out there, the less likely they're going to listen. And my main concern is making sure these guys get the message and do what is needed. Okay? Let's stick together as a community. Let's get the word out. I want to thank What If Racing because he has responded when I've asked. And he doesn't get anything out of it. We all have the same goals to see a better NASCAR game. And that's what we're trying to do here. And this developer has shown enough, in my opinion, that I know they can get it done. They may have to sacrifice a little more. They may have to step up. But, it's up to us to tell them, listen, man, you're not doing enough. Step up your game. And by the same token, let them know. We will support your products if you do right by us. So you do have a loyal base. if you don't screw this up. And I'll tell 704 Games myself, I don't like the whole DLC thing, but I'll buy everything you put out in DLC if you can make this happen. Okay, I'll support it. Okay, and I do have other ideas, but like I said, I wanted to keep the list condensed and realistic. I don't want to overdo it. So that's all I ask of you guys. If you got ideas I didn't mention, put it in the comment section. Just make sure you keep it short, simple, and don't go too far out the box, right? We want to kind of have, the more people we have with the common message, the more likelihood there is that they listen, okay? And they have shown that they listen. So that's it. I want to know what you guys think about these ideas. Do you support it? If you don't, I'm sorry, but I really, really, really feel that this is what this game needs. And there's no doubt in my mind. If they really attack this with passion and they really work on getting this to be a reality, the game's going to be the best NASCAR game we ever had. Let's finally knock off these old games. I love those games, but come on, man. It's going to be 2018 next year. We can do better, man. We can do better. So, thanks for listening. I look forward to your comments. And let's keep it constructive. And, send this video to them. Anywhere they are, send it to them. And let them know in your own words that you support it. And you support them as long as they follow through. So, till next time, I guess. Thanks for listening, and I look forward to your comments.